Hey everyone, Sleepy Trekkie here. I thought I would do a extended discussion, not in the shorts format, on the Discovery Refit. Namely, those detached nacelles. Obviously, everyone's trying to rack their mind for an actual, in-canon, plausible explanation on their usefulness. Obviously, one of the things that they've already come out and said is that it's about maneuverability. Okay, well, if they both have separate structural integrity fields around them, that they're independent from the ship, I can see from a structural engineering point of view how having detached nacelles could be useful. Yeah. But I think there's better explanations that I wish sometimes the writers would reach out to the fan community, because I think there's a lot of good people out there that could definitely give some good ideas. Okay, the one thing that our idea that I like that I've talked about last time was how about distributed warp cores instead of one single massive reactor in the heart of the ship. Have two centralized, or not decentralized warp cores that are one in each nacelle. You have to remember, the warp core, okay, this is all science fiction, but the warp core doesn't generate the warp field. It generates warp plasma, high energy material from an antimatter reaction of deuterium and antideuterium that is transferred into the nacelles that contain the warp coils, and those generate the warp field. Okay, you with me? If you move the warp cores, or split the warp core into two and put one in each nacelle, now they're detached. They're essentially a really overpowered ship on its own. Sounds kind of defiant, but that's for another video. Think about it. If you have a warp core in a nacelle, and you have a situation where, say, the computer or something is detecting some instability in the dilithium, maybe it's going inert again, you have the opportunity to invoke a, say, Omega Protocol-ish kind of thing where ship's computer just takes over and jettisons those nacelles and gets that ship the hell out of there. Remember from the flight of the Phoenix, you can sustain warp 1 on just a fusion reactor. It's when you're getting up to these warp 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.9999999 that you need that dilithium as a control rod in an antimatter reaction. Because without that control rod, just going to basic science today, we can't hold a fusion reaction right now, or barely can. And it's only experimental. The magnetic fields required to control a antimatter reaction with current technology, unfeasible. Just imagine the antimatter reaction required to facilitate warp 9.x. Unfeasible. I think even in the Star Trek things, the magnetic fields required would outstrip the amount of power generated by. You get the point. It becomes exponential, cascade, runaway problem. Kind of curious about doing the math. Insert the lithium. Its properties are that it's normal matter, but it can interact with antimatter without blowing up. Because matter and antimatter annihilate each other. That's not science fiction, that's science. So, Now, let's just say you have these 2 warp cores in the nacelles. Using the technology that we saw in episode 5, that's powering the distortion field for Starfleet headquarters, that's siphoning power from the ships to wirelessly to power the distortion field. A miniaturized version can be used on the ship to transfer power from those cores to the rest of the ship, to power weapon systems, computers, sensors, shields, or whatever. But I would say you'd still want the main core replaced with a very advanced fusion reactor. Or antimatter reactor, just one that doesn't use the lithium. So you're going to have power limits on how much you can push through it without having the specialized properties of incanting lithium. It could work, because as we've seen, we can still limp along at warp 1 on a fusion reactor. Okay, it might take you forever if you're out in the middle of nowhere, but no one's really going to the middle of nowhere right now. So that's my in-canon theory. That's plausible and actually makes a lot of freaking sense. And you could also go one step further, and now you have a weapon of last resort. A planet killer. You know, it was never shown in DS9. You know, the deflector dish had 6 quantum torpedo warheads embedded in it. It could be disconnected and used as a massive warhead. I don't know what makes it better than just firing 6 quantum torpedoes, but that's for another analysis. Where are you going to go with this? You have a nacelle where if you could literally disconnect it and send it to warp, it has a fully charged antimatter reactor on board. And the energy to power a ship to warp 9 point whatever. It's a planet killer. I'm a defense contractor. Yeah. Hazards of the job, I guess. So, that's my thoughts on that. I completely agree with BA from the analysis that like truck yards and done and everything. It does appear that most of the ship's been rebuilt. Secondary hull is different. It's smaller. There's holes in it. And it's not going to fool anyone in the fleet. For outsiders, it just appears that you built the ship with old plans. You dug up some old tech. That works. Trying to keep from getting in trouble with whoever is trying to enforce those temporal accords that made time travel illegal. So I completely agree with that. I could do without some of the colors on the thing. You know, I always do DIY stuff, and eventually, if I get monetized and all that stuff, I'm going to go into more tech and everything on my other channel. And I hate the RGB thing in computers. It seems like they went that way with Discovery, but whatever. So that's it for today. I think I'm going to have another discussion in a week or two, which I still have some holes in it, but exactly where we're going with Giorgio and Burnham in Section 31 and trying to loop back in Calypso, because right now we have a hole, and I think they are going to get there, but it's going to be convoluted. And what's in my head right now, let's just say would be the whole season of 4 equivalent of Star Trek Voyager 2-parter Year of Hell. Be an interesting season. Controversial, but that's Discovery. When has it never been controversial? So, like, subscribe, put notifications on, and I will talk to you guys later.